What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined by special guest and longtime friend of the channel, Tom. And man, I'm excited today because we're going to be hosting a video in Tom's series, Anatomy of a Classic. And today we're going to be covering one of my favorite albums of all time. And hey, it's even over my shoulder here, Good Kid Maad City by Kendrick Lamar. And, Tom, I'm just going to kick it to you to kind of, one, promo your channel, promo the series, and just kind of take it from there.
Well, thank you for having me. This is really cool. If you guys have seen the Radiohead album ranking, you may remember me and my very
Right.
rambling thoughts on that band. Yeah, my channel fairly recently got rebranded to being Williams Schmilliams after, of course, Nilsson Schmilsson. I kind of do an album ranking series. Also looking to do an album of the year series soon, which will have started by the time this comes out. And then, yeah, I also have started this series, Anatomy of a Classic, which basically looking at classic albums and really deep diving them. Because, I like doing the album rankings, but sometimes you want to look with like a magnifying glass and really
Yeah.
focus on these things. And there's different categories that we'll go through. And yeah, I sort of talked to Trey about doing this, and then you offered to do it on your channel. And then I think we both knew we wanted to do hip hop. And then as soon as we wanted to do hip hop, we knew which album we were doing. Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar. So I guess I'll start
Yeah.
in terms of how I discovered the album. I think it was one of the first hip hop albums I ever heard. The first one I ever heard was My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Hmm.
And
Another
I think this
classic.
was, yeah, I think this was number two or three. Um, it was kind of unlike anything else I was into, but I could
Mhm.
instantly recognize the craft and the importance of the music from like all the immersive sort of sound effects and the tape that goes through. Like I could tell this was a special storyteller, regardless of the genre I was listening to. Like if this was a film soundtrack, I can picture it as a film soundtrack.
Yeah,
So
and I think that's really well said there, Tom, because I always describe this album to people who've never heard it as being very cinematic, right? I find that interesting that that's your experience too. That even though, hey, maybe this wasn't a genre you were well versed in, even so, it was quite accessible to you and easy to digest.
yeah, because you've got I'm not sure how much of it is sampling and how much of it is new sort of live musicians. You got some great bass lines.
Hmm.
A song like "Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe" has some really prominent guitar, which sounds great.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really, I was very close-minded in terms of hip hop. When I listened to this, whatever it would have been, 3 or 4 years ago. But since listening to this, I've really broadened my horizons, and I have this album to thank for a lot of it. So yeah, how did you first discover it? What was your
Yeah,
experience?
so when this came out, there was some buzz in one of my classes. I was a junior in high school when this would have released, and whenever Swimming Pools came out as a single, that got some people talking. And Kendrick wasn't on my radar then. At that point, I was a blossoming hip hop fan. Listening to the classics, listening to some Pac, Biggie, Eminem. Was somebody I was spending a lot back in the day as well, Outcast. But as far as newer MCs and artists, Kendrick was really like the first hip hop artist of the new school at that time that really resonated with me. And so I went out, Tom. I pre-ordered the album. I got it autographed, which I've unfortunately since lost, but got the T-shirt and everything. And so I was all into it, man. And then when it dropped, it really yeah, just really spoke to me, even though I couldn't relate to maybe a lot of the ins and outs of the details of this record, right? Of the urban lifestyle in Compton that Kendrick is dissecting here. I think being 16 years old at the time this was released, still around that same age, right? I remember just cruising around with my friends, bumping Backstreet Freestyle, or really resonating and enjoying a song like Mad City and the beat switch there, and just so many moments. And I feel like everybody in my high school, here or there, had liked a track or two, or whatever you would come across. Even my friends that weren't into hip hop, a couple of these tunes, you just couldn't escape at the time. And so I was hooked on Kendrick then ever since, and repping the shirt from his new tour, and I am he's got a lifelong fan in me. But yeah, man, that's one of the reasons I think I really enjoyed this album to this day is because of those memories tied from when I first heard it back in high school. So
Yeah, that's kind of interesting that we're both approaching it from different places, right? I
mhm.
heard it way after the fact when it was this big, hyped up, like one of the all-time great albums. Obviously,
Yeah.
you heard it as it was coming out, where that obviously hadn't developed, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
in terms of like the background of the album, I did find a couple of interesting things that Lamar was saying that the album would showcase the influence of his hometown, sort of the kid that's trying to escape that influence, trying his best. You know, he's always pulled back in because of
Mhm.
circumstances. You know, so I think he spoke very well about that, and I think that really shines through in the album. There's this sense of, especially on a track like "The Art of Peer Pressure," the sense of being drawn to like fate almost because of
Mhm.
where you live and who you surround yourself with, which is really interesting. There's a lot of interludes on the album, as you would expect on a hip hop album, but I think what really set this apart for me when I first heard it was they weren't just like jokey interludes; it was like progressing a story.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like these old tapes, which I'm not sure about the background of, but I guess we may get into that. And then yeah, the guest list is just stacked. You know, Dr. Dre, Drake, Pharrell Williams, among many others.
Mhm.
Very impressive given how early he was in his career, really.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Tom, because this dropping in 2012. In 2011, there's kind of a famous moment where Kendrick was performing in California, and you had Dr. Dre, you had Snoop, you had The Game, another really famous West Coast MC, all come up and almost give a passing of the torch, so to speak, to Kendrick at this concert. And boy, they ended up being right on that. It's one thing you pass the torch and somebody flames out and is a bust, but I think already early, in his career, right? Everybody, even the legends in the hip hop game, saw the talent that Kendrick possessed, and he had that pressure on him, and yet he was still able to, live up to that hype. And you're totally right, Tom, about the themes of this record being about those influences around you, lots of notes about the gang culture and all this stuff around you. Are you going to fall into that? The whole album title itself, it being a good kid in a mad city, the m.a.a.d stands for made an angel on angel dust, because Kendrick notes that one of the first times he ever smoked, he smoked a laced blunt, and so that's that kind of shifted his mindset into being like, oh, okay, there are real dangers out here, and maybe I don't want to go down this particular path right here. All in all, man, I think that the cinematic scope of the record, it even makes you think of something like a Boys in the Hood, the '90s movie from back in the day, where again, even when I watch a movie like that and maybe can't relate to the ins and outs of all of the themes that are brought down, the way that the artistic nature of just the work is brought forth, you can't help but appreciate. And with those interludes, right, it really kind of lets you sink your teeth into the album and get immersed in it. And there are great singles on this, of course, Tom, but as a full album experience, it works wonders as well. And oftentimes in hip hop, I find a lot of the interludes and skits can be skippable, but as you noted, man, they really build the storyline for how Kendrick is kind of living and how this night is unfolding for him.
Brilliant segue, because then the next section is to talk about the lead single.
Hmm.
Like you mentioned, a lot of the songs on this album were massive. So, I guess if you weren't around at the time, I didn't know what the lead single was. I might have assumed it was maybe Mad City, maybe,
Hmm.
or something like that, maybe Money Trees. But
Yeah.
technically, the lead single was The Recipe, which was only
Mhm.
included on the deluxe version. But we're going to go by the lead single of the tracks that were included on the album proper, which, of course, as you mentioned, Swimming Pools, parentheses, Drank. Massive song, like so everywhere, even now.
Yeah.
Um, the version on the album is extended, but you can still see why it was a single. Um, I think the outro is pretty hard hitting with the sort of the recklessness coming to a head. And if it's a very important part of the album. And an interesting thing to talk about in this series when we talk about concept albums like this is trying to take away a single, which me and Aiden talked about with Quadrophenia, where 515 was the lead single, but it reprises parts of Cut My Hair. So it's like, it does work as a standalone single, but when you hear it in the album, it's kind of changed entirely. So I don't know what you think. Do you think Swimming Pools was the right choice for a lead single or not? I'm kind of intrigued.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting thought, right, Tom? Because even the subject matter of the song, right? I know a lot of people, it almost has that Bruce Springsteen Born in the USA treatment, where they think it's almost like a party song, right? Where when you actually dissect some of the lyrics, you can see that Kendrick is kind of noting the pitfalls that alcohol can have, and just kind of the generational impact that alcohol has had on his family. And narratively, in the with the story, they just go through some hardship. And the record, the song comes more towards the latter half. It's the ninth song out of 12 here. It comes where Kendrick's and his homies are down and out. Let's just kind of hand off the bottle and forget our problems, so to speak, here. So it is interesting that it was the lead single. I mean, it is that chorus is so undeniably catchy, and so you can see reasons why. Yeah, this is why they put it there. I think it's it's still one of his most popular songs to this day. He still performs it in concert, gets the people going, and again, I think just showcases Tom. The storytelling talent that Kendrick has to be able to make a song like this that fits so well in the concept of the record, and yet also works well as a single, works well as a party type song, even though it also has deeper meanings too. If you want to kind of go line by line with it, it's very tough to kind of balance that. But Kendrick does that really well on this song and in his whole career, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of akin to, again, going back to another episode in the series we did, So by Peter Gabriel, and the lead single was Sledgehammer, which was obviously the right choice.
Yeah.
Like, and it's kind of similar to that, where it is like you could argue it is the most famous song on the album. I just think maybe Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe works a
Mhm.
bit better separately from the album. But I'm clutching at straws really. I think Swimming Pools is a great single, but I think people who know Kendrick now know that he's really an albums artist rather than a
Yeah.
songs artist a lot of the time. So yeah, no, I
No,
do, I do like that.
I'm with you that "Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe" would be my number one choice as a single as well. Because yeah, man, that that song too. Just and I'm glad it's early on in the record too. Just in the track listing, I feel just boom, really kind of kicks the album off with a big punch. And so and looking at the other singles, they released Backstreet Freestyle again with that heavy bass, kind of blends well to a single. And then Poetic Justice, the song that he has Drake on with. Anytime you have Drake on as a feature, yeah, it's probably getting the single treatment, especially around this time.
Catchy song too, catchy song.
Hmm.
So makes sense. Yeah. Well, speaking of kicking it off, opening track is the next one. You're really great at these segues. It's almost as if you've been doing this for years.
I've tried,
uh, the, opening, the opening track is Shireen, aka Master Splinter's daughter, which I don't know about you, I've always loved this song. I think the bass line is just nuts. The bass line of this song is incredible. There's also some really funny lyrics. I know there's a lot of like, you know, heavy social commentary going on in the album, but this song really is quite funny. Like, talking about the girls'
Yeah.
breath, and then like I looked at him and almost ran my front bumper into Corvette. It's like
Dude, no, you're right,
so
Tom.
good.
You're right.
Yeah, it's like how he is so effortlessly balancing tones within one song sometimes is incredible. Yeah, I think it's an instant classic as soon as you hear it. Like kicks off the album so well. I think it's quite underrated to be honest because it doesn't get talked in the same breath as a lot of the singles for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with you 100% on everything you had to say right there, Tom. And you know what I've always enjoyed too about this song and about Kendrick, you know, and his openers in general, right? He just throws you right into it. There is no easing into it, and especially on this album, it works narratively as a bit of a flash forward as well. We hear the sinner's prayer that Maya Angelou is talking about that comes back into play at the end of the record and "Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst," and you know, at this point, Kendrick and Shireen have already known each other for many months, and you know, he's like you said, he just has sex on his mind, man. He's going, and and then boom, at the end of the song, he goes and he sees the two the two cousins out there that we presume are gang affiliated, and then we just kind of hear the stop, and then we go into the first kind of segue with his parents talking to him on the phone, and so I think it does a great job, too, like building that anticipation and to be like, okay, well, how did Kendrick get himself into this situation? And we don't really find that out until you know the very end of the record with "Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst." And so I think it works just so great as a hook to hook you into the rest of this concept album, as well as you said, man. The bass is great. The rapping here is kind of a bit you know gritty, and while also keeping those elements of you know those what you would think of as a 17-year-old, right? Like, oh man, I gotta go score right now, you know. And so I think you're totally though on the money, Tom. That maybe it doesn't get talked about as much just because there are so many legendary songs on here. But what a way to kick off an album. And I know we both put so much importance, right, on the opener and the closer of a record.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it can sink a record if it
Mm.
starts poorly. Like, yeah, I won't start dissing albums, but there are definitely albums out there where I'm like, that would be at least a you know a rating out of 10 higher with a better opening track or better choice of opening track. And not necessarily that I want that song gone. I want a
Yeah.
different song. It's sort of sequencing is very important, especially on an album like this. Favorite deep cut? I'm going to hand this over to you to go first on this one. What have you got as your favorite deep cut?
All right, for deep cut. Well, and I'm going to ask you this, Tom, as a I'm going to put you on the spot as the judge here. Would you count Money Trees as a deep cut?
Ooh, ooh,
It wasn't a single,
ooh.
but it's
Wasn't a
very
single.
well known.
Hmm. I think that's bordering on cheating.
Okay, well, that's why I asked. That's why I asked. Well, if I can't have Money Trees, okay, then I'm going to go with The Art of Peer Pressure as my
That's
deep
also
cut.
mine. That's
Yeah.
also mine.
Dude, it's gosh, this has always been one of my favorite Kendrick tunes, and you know, again, the dichotomy of feelings on this record from song to song can be quite great because you know, track number 3 we have Backstreet Freestyle, where you know you get this very boisterous, braggadocious, you know, type of lines where you know the bass is really thumping and heavy. You really are almost a fly on the wall with Kendrick and his friends in the car just freestyling, and then boom, we shift gears to The Art of Peer Pressure, where Kendrick notes against a really unique, a more mellow type beat here, but it almost ups anxiety at certain points as well. I think the production on this beat is incredible. And he talks about you know going to rob a house, and you know, as the title says, the art of that peer pressure that you know, usually I'm drug free, but shit, I'm with the homies, you know, I guess I gotta, you know, fit in and do this and do that. And so I think you know, I think that he's starting to see how unnecessary it is to be in this, and yet you know, these are his friends, this is how he's going to, you know, fit in a certain sense with the world. So yeah, man, I gotta give my flowers to The Art of Peer Pressure as my deep cut pick.
Yeah, maybe I should have let you pick Money Trees because that's fine. I've also got the Art of Peer Pressure. It's probably my second favorite Kendrick song behind
Hmm.
Wesley's Theory, which is my favorite.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, you said a lot of good things about it. I just love the intro that everybody, you know, it's so
Yeah.
good. Instantly hooks you in. The piano is so beautiful, so mellow, and such a chaotic song. Sort of grounds it. Probably my favorite beat on the album. The beat is just great as well. Just layers of excellence all throughout the song. Um, and the backing vocals that come in on the "One Day It's Gonna Burn You Out" part, the sort of half speed backing vocals, so good as well. And yeah, everybody loves the beat switch up for good reason. It is iconic. The take a left, then take a right, then take a left. It's like the storytelling is incredible. His charisma really shines through, but also his like fear in that moment shines through as well. The production is top notch, and yeah, one lucky night with the homies kind of just sums it up. So yeah, I think we both rightly gave that song its flowers, and it is a very acclaimed song, and to me, it is, yeah, pretty comfortably the best on the album.
I think that's well said, and it's interesting too because it's one of those records where there could be so many that could be your favorites, right? And so I like that you have it at the top. Not quite my favorite track on this album, but definitely it's definitely up there.
Yeah, there's probably only one song that I wouldn't believe if someone said it was their favorite, and we'll get to, we'll get to that one. I think Trey might know which one I'm talking
Are you
about.
for real, Tom?
Very clever. And then you talked about how important the opener is. The closer is important as well, and this might get contentious because I think Compton is a super underrated track. People really clown on this and the song before it. I think this. I've always loved this since the first listen. I think people don't like that it's more poppy. I guess
Mhm.
it's less ambitious, but as like this fun, euphoric closer, it works so well. It's such a great note to end the album on. It sort of feels like all the stress of the stuff you've listened to before is just let go, with this song. So I've always loved Compton. I think it closes the album great. I wouldn't want anything else closing.
Yeah, I'm with you, Tom, and I'm glad you said it because yeah, it seems if you do run into online discussion on this album that people are showing any negatives, right? It is on these final two tracks that maybe they don't live up to the first 10 or whatever. But I think again talking about the concept, right? I think Compton works as the kind of like that triumphant, hey, I ended up making it out, right? And Kendrick even said that's the last song on the album for a specific reason. That's the first song I did with Trey. That was the start of my new life. So you kind of bring it back to that prayer that Maya Angelou talks about and sing about me, where this is the start of your new life. And we get some closing remarks in the song "Real," but then Compton comes in with that classic G-Funk, Dr. Dre sound coming up in here, man. And yeah, it's euphoric, it's triumphant. You see this good kid be able to come through the other side of Compton while still still repping his city and being appreciative of some of these aspects of how that's grown him as a person. And so and even at the end too, I really enjoy the fact where it's like we hear the tape again saying, "Hey, mom, I'm gonna be back in 15 minutes. Gonna take the van," and then it stops, and it's like the full loop of the album again. So I always enjoy when records kind of employ that technique.
So that leaves us with the impact on music history, which the album's barely 10 years old, 11 years old now. Um, Insanely influential for, I would say, conscious hip hop and for trap. Like, it's crazy how influential it has been for that genre. Maybe I'm not the biggest fan of what it has influenced. Sort of like what everyone says about Pearl Jam, right? How they love Pearl Jam and they hate all the bands that they influenced. But Kendrick was able to pull it off, and there are a lot of imitators that have come since. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to, as a rap concept album as well. It's hard to sort of sell how important it is, to put
Mhm.
into words.
Yeah, and I think too, I mean, it's interesting to note that it peaked at number two on the charts, and it has never left the Billboard Top 200 here in the States. So it's in some rarefied air in that regard, and I think just again contributes to the idea that it's still in the public consciousness, influencing people. A recent rapper that gets a lot of Kendrick comparisons is j.i.d. His album, The Forever Story, was really great, I think, last year. And yeah, I think any rapper or any artist even that wants to pull off these conscious big concept type of albums, is probably owes a little bit in the modern day sense to Good Kid, Mad City. I think it took a bit of courage, a bit of cojones to put this out as your major label debut here, Tom. It would have been easy to make a 45-minute album that has 3-minute songs that are just kind of club hits or bangers or whatever that go in one ear, they're hot for a couple months, and then it's on to the next thing. But Kendrick, not only with this album but in his whole catalog, always looks, I think, for the artistic merit first and foremost, and something that's going to be long lasting. I think Good Kid, Mad City is definitely standing the test of time, and I think it's one that will continue to stand the test of time as we get further and further away from it.
Yeah, there's a reason that it lives on and people are still listening to it. Yeah. And quickly, I guess, before we go to track ratings, how would it rank within Kendrick's discography for you, and how would it rank all time for you?
Mm.
Just to get a sense.
Yeah, and no, that's a very interesting question. It's one, I think for most people, this is either the at the top for them for Kendrick, or it's number two. For me, it's my favorite Kendrick album. If I can have one to choose, I mean, it's one of my favorite albums of all time, definitely top five. If I, and then that gets into the difference between, favorite and best. I think To Pimp a Butterfly is his best artistic statement in his catalog. I mean, it's real close between this and To Pimp a Butterfly. But if I had to choose on an artistic merit, I guess I put To Pimp a Butterfly one and this two. And then I put Mr. Morale number three, the album that just released. I think that one's going to age incredibly well. I'm higher on it than a lot of people, but I think as time goes on, that's one that's going to continue. But maybe it's because I'm a counselor, and there were a lot of therapy themes in that record, so it stood out to me. And as far as all time, man, shoot, like I said, I mean, as far as favorites, this is a top five favorite album for me. This is a desert island record for me. Again, I think just for the replayability value, the fact that it came at a pivotal point in my life too, at 16 years old, and was able to relate to some of the coming of age type of themes in it. And so as an album ranking for all time, man, I still got to go through. I know you just went through an awesome series, doing your 100 favorite albums, Tom, and I need to do something similar. It's a daunting task that I just keep pushing off, but I really need to get that nailed down, because this would definitely, when I'm talking, just all time, top five favorite. And if I were to do just best albums, I mean, I think I would, still have this, like, shoot, probably top 25 for me. That's how high I think of this. And it's just it's one of my favorites ever, and it's one of the best ever. And whenever those two mesh together, man, you get a really special album.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how you differentiate between best and favorite. I don't think I can do that. Like, I think I can try, but I think I've kind of got to the point now where I'm just like, I enjoy what I enjoy, and like
Yeah.
trying to figure out what the best is. I can only think about what I think the best is, which makes it my favorite. You know what I mean? It's like a
No,
hard,
I
like,
got you, Tom.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
and I feel myself shifting to that more and more, and so it's probably at the end of the day, a healthier mindset to have, and less stressful. That's for sure.
yeah. I mean, talking about the favorite album series, I made the list in October. I didn't finish the series till February. My list had completely changed by that
Yeah.
time. So you know, um, and then for me, yeah, it's my favorite Kendrick album for sure. I do like To Pimp a Butterfly a lot. That is more of an appreciation than a love,
Mhm.
mainly because I love the concept and I love listening to individual tracks like King Kunta and Wesley's Theory and the like.
Yeah.
I think that is just less of a enjoyable listen.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit more intense.
Mm.
So that's kind of what I'd go with. Musically and lyrically, I think it's a lot to take in, in one go.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you're not just gonna nonchalantly, hey, let me just throw on some Pimp a Butterfly today.
No, but you can nonchalantly just put on like Wesley's Theory and have a great
Yeah.
time. So yeah, track ratings. We are going out of 10, fully round numbers. I know that you guys do a different scoring system on your channel, so sorry to complicate things. um, I guess we'll go because there's 12 tracks. Do you want to go first six? I'll do mine, then you do yours, and then we'll do the last six.
Yeah, sounds good.
So Shireen, I have as a 9 out of 10. I think it's a terrific opening track. I give it extra points for being great as an opener as well as on its own. As I talked about a lot already. Track two, Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, easy 10. One of the best songs on the album. That guitar is incredible. It's so catchy. It has really sort of stood the test of time and lived on. You still see people like covering it on YouTube and stuff, which is very rare for a rap song that people are doing like guitar covers of them, which is really cool. Um, yeah, and I've loved it since the first time I heard it. It's just, pardon the pun, but it's got a great vibe, and I don't want to kill it. Backseat Freestyle, I have as a 9. I probably would have originally had this as an 8, but it grew on me a lot. I suppose the first time I heard the album, this was the most outside of my comfort zone that the album went. It is pretty just full on hip hop. But it is really good. Like Kendrick's flow on it is obviously amazing, and as it is on a lot of these songs. You'll notice a trend here that I think the first 5 songs are just incredible, so good. Yeah, then Art of Peer Pressure is obviously a 10. My favorite song on the album. So then, directly following the Art of Peer Pressure, we have Money Trees, which I didn't let you have as a deep cut. That's probably because I think it is one of the most iconic songs of the 2010s. The hook is timeless. There's just something so special about it, and I think what makes his songs so re-listenable is his flow is so fast
Mm,
that, but not in a gimmicky way, which I think
yeah.
Eminem kind of falls into. His flow is so fast that I feel like you're always picking up new things about the lyrics because his wordplay is so good and he's delivering it so quickly that you can't possibly pick it all up at once, even if you're reading along. So yeah, Money Trees is a classic as a 10. And then Poetic Justice, I have as an 8, which I think his flow on the song again is just incredible. I'm like a broken record here, but yeah, I don't think the hook is great. I just think this is one of a couple songs that maybe get a little bit repetitive as they go on, maybe a bit too long, too many repeats of the hook. But yeah, first half of the album pretty excellent, to be honest. If your worst song is a song where I like the flow and the hook, then you know.
Yeah, you're doing decent, right? Yeah. Well, Tom, I think yeah, there's not going to be much in the way of disagreement on here. I think we were honestly spot up on our rankings because I have Shireen at a 9 out of 10 as well on mine. We've I think covered that track pretty well. I also have "Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe" as a 10 out of 10. Man, one of my favorite Kendrick songs. I think it's my dad's favorite. Kendrick song as well. It's just so catchy with that hook. And seeing him perform this live on his recent tour with a live band with the guitars and everything was really cool to see. And brought the song together in a nice dimension. I got Backseat Freestyle at a 9 out of 10. I think that again, just the booming bass on this song. You gotta be bumping this on a great system to get the full effect right here. And again, really put you in the back seat here. And Kendrick just going with these over the top lines here works really really well. Peer pressure, I'm going a 9 actually instead of a 10. You know me, I'm a little stingy on the 10s, Tom, but of course, just as we already discussed, just a fantastic track, great storytelling, and as you noted, Tom, the flows that Kendrick is able to uh, display on this record, and even the manipulation of his voice too. That's something we haven't touched on, to kind of get that younger Kendrick type of a version to whenever maybe he's more like on swimming pools. He's a little more lethargic, and I think that he pulls that off really well. Money Tree's a bona fide 10 out of 10 right here for me as well. Just love everything about this song. It goes Halle Berry or Hallelujah. I love that line. And J Rock here just is rapping like his life depended on it, on the guest feature. And so that's one of my favorite Kendrick songs in general. And then I also have Poetic Justice featuring Drake as an 8 out of 10. My Drake's feature is fine. Definitely one of the lower features on this record. He was up against some big competition, but quite a melodic song. And it's still good for what it is. I think in the album too. Before we get to the intense second portion of the record.
Yeah, and I think my scores aren't quite as strong in the second half.
Mm.
Um, I don't think I'm as high on this album as you are, but I still, it made my top 100 albums list. I still
Yeah.
love it. So anyone thinking that I don't like it, it's only compared to this guy. Um, so we have two title tracks, which is quite bizarre. Not something you see very often. First of which, "Good Kid," I have as a 9. Great bass line again. Yeah, just repeating everything I've said before about his flow and everything. One of the shorter tracks, so it's nice and replayable, quite poppy. Um, this one might ruffle some feathers. I've got Mad City as an 8 out of 10.
Okay,
I can
Tom.
acknowledge I can acknowledge it's very ahead of its time. And it was a big song for him. I think it's the only song on the album I'm a bit burnt out on. I don't think I need to, especially the first part. I don't think I need to hear that again. But I do enjoy the song a lot more after the switch up to the more sort of old school style. One of the really cool beat switch ups that you get on the album. So that's my hot take. It wouldn't be me without one of them. Um, then Swimming Pools Drank, I also have as a 9. Undeniably catchy hook. I think the lyrics on this one are incredible, like some of the best on the album.
Mhm.
They really stand out. And this song and the next one after it, I think, is probably the lyrical peak of the album, because then you have "Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst," which I want to give a 10 so bad because it's so impressive, but 12-minute song, how often do I listen to it outside of the context of the album? Very rarely. So I'm going with a strong, strong 9 for "Sing About
Mhm.
Me, I'm Dying of Thirst." Yeah, you can't deny the artistic statement. One of his best songs ever in that regard. It's up there with the spoken word song on Mr. Morale. The name escapes me. You know which one I mean.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Mother I Sober. Yeah.
yeah. And with the voice actress in there does a great job. And yeah, there's obviously the moments on "To Pimp a Butterfly," but I think this stands up to the rest of them. I think this album sometimes gets some flack for being more like poppy than what he would do afterwards.
Mhm.
I don't think that's fair. I think there's a lot of density and lyrical depth to this album. And yeah, "Sing About Me, I'm Dying." This is pretty much the apex of that. I love the choral vocals that come in at around 8 minutes into the song. Really sort of a
Yeah.
spiritual moment. Really, really cool. And then there's "Real," which I have as a 6. It's largely hated on. Obviously, I give it a 6. I don't hate it, but I could do without it on the album. It's 7 minutes long. I think the hook is really annoying, especially like the fourth time you heard it, you're like, "Oh my god, like shut up." But like the verses are cool. It's like the rare song where like it's the opposite of "Don't bore us, get to the chorus." It's like stay away from the chorus,
The
just stick
chorus.
to the. So yeah, "Real" I give a 6, which is way lower than anything else on the album. Yeah, Compton I also give a 9. Thoroughly underappreciated. I love the interlude just before it. Yeah, so you were mentioning it, him being on a track with Dr. Dre, kind of ending the album story. He has made it.
Mhm.
It's just so melodic, totally badass. Like kind of like a perfect, driving through on a sunny day in a convertible car with the wind in your hair, kind of
Oh
song.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's an incredible. Ain't no city quite like mine. I think we can all agree when you've like grown up somewhere, and yeah, it's it's a roller coaster of emotions, but you still have a fond, like, a fondness for it.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's kind of
100%.
how I lie. I'm guessing you're going to be higher on some of those.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, Good Kid, I'm also going to be at a 9 on that. One of the shorter tracks on the record. I think he clocks, barely over 3 minutes. So, and I think it's works as a great segue into Mad City, which I have as a 10. I think you're right in the sense that yeah, it has been played, ad nauseum at this point. So I can understand where you're coming from with a bit of the listener fatigue right there. But I mean, the beat switch alone on this thing, yeah, 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 man down. I mean, it never fails to get me a bit hyped up, even though I know it's coming on here, and it's just a frenzied song too, where you have kind of everything coming to the together. The violence of the record kind of takes a bigger importance as well, and just Kendrick remembering a lot of his childhood in this song too, and just everything that he was around. A very West Coast sounding song here, in the best way possible. And then Swimming Pools Drank, I'm also going a full 10 out of 10 on right here as well. Again, I just think as I mentioned earlier, just that balancing act from making a kind of more heady, artistic type of song about the pitfalls that alcohol can have, and how that has generationally affected his family, with also being a song that has such an undeniable hook, and also was a song people played at parties, themselves, is really impressive. And then for me, I'm going 3 10s in a row. Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. I think as a lyrical, just storytelling track, it's up there as maybe Kendrick's best. I really like the song Fear off of Damn as well, kind of falls into that. I think with this too, just going off of different people, he raps from like a prostitute's perspective in the first verse. He raps as Dave's brother. Was kind of the climax of this record is one of Kendrick's friends gets shot in retaliation for whenever they went to go get revenge, and so you have the brother of the guy who got shot, kind of rapping on this song. Kendrick's rapping from his perspective, and again showcases Kendrick's ability to take all these different types of perspectives and really pull off something beautiful with that. Real, I have as 7. I think it's by far the worst track on this, and that's kind of the common take. And I think for reason, I'm with you, Tom. I think some trimming on this track would have been nice. That hook, I'm real, I'm really, really real. All respect to Anna Wise, but yeah, after a little bit, it gets a bit monotonous. Though I do like again some of the parents like interludes in there with his dad telling him what being real actually is in life. I think that works well. And then Compton, I'm also going to 9, finishing this thing off on a really high note. As we both noted, I'm glad that we're both high on this tune. I enjoy the blending of kind of the new school Kendrick with the old school Dr. Dre right here, and really works as a great capstone to this incredible album.
Yeah, I mean, all that leaves is our overall scores and our overall personal thoughts. So I'm going to 9 on Good Kid Mad City. Uh, I think it's one of my all-time favorite hip hop albums. It's not my genre, my first choice genre, but it's definitely one where there are classics. And um, if you take Tribe Called Quest out of the occasion, it's probably like my second favorite hip hop album of all
Yeah.
time. So it is a real marvel. Every song pretty much is iconic, even if I like some of them more than the others. Sort of incredible how he single-handedly raised the bar, all by himself for hip hop. Yeah, everybody sort of watched around and just took notice and was like, "Wow, we need to we need
Yeah.
to up our game." And many would say that he would do that again with "To Pimp a Butterfly," which we've mentioned. I think we're both firmly team Good Kid, Mad City, but yeah, I think it's an excellent album. One of the best of the 2010s as well. Would definitely make my top 10 of that decade. Yeah, it's just a classic. I mean, it's great. you know this, whoever's watching this.
No, man. Yeah, well said right there, Tom. For me, I'm giving it the full 10 treatment. 10 out of 10 on this thing for me. You know, as I noted many times in this video. Yeah, one of my favorite albums of all time, man. A desert island disc for me, and one that I just never get tired of hearing. And even if I don't spin it for many months or whatever, and sometimes I'll have the Spotify shuffle on, and the art of peer pressure will come on, or something, and then it's like, you know what, let me go spin Good Kid Maad City again. And I'm never disappointed. That's never a bad choice whenever I end up doing that. And I think as we have a decade now past this, we've really been able to see it stand the test of time. Some people are a little bullish on calling something a classic until time allows that to be. And I think it's undeniable that this is a modern day classic, and one that will continue to be talked about, not only in hip hop lore, but definitely has a lot of crossover appeal as well. As we've touched on throughout this video, that'll probably help it stay in the musical consciousness for many decades to come.
Yeah, very well said. Thanks for having me on. This has been great.
Yeah, man. And be sure everybody to go and sub to Tom's channel. Man, a lot of great content over there. And not only with this series, but as he noted, all the other fun stuff he has going up. So whatever genre of music you're down with, you're a fan of, there's going to be something over there on Tom's channel. Always good to have him over here, man. I enjoyed doing the Radiohead album rankings with you last year, and we've even in the Wayback Machine got a couple podcasts up, so those were great fun. So it's always fun to collab with great YouTubers and people that love music. And we of course want to know your thoughts on Good Kid Maad City. What are your favorite tracks? What is your overall score? Where'd you put it in Kendrick's discography? Be sure to let us know down in the comment section below. And Tom, what other albums in the series do you have to get the people interested?
Yeah, so the pilot episode was on So by Peter Gabriel. Then we did Quadrophenia by The Who. And by now, Hounds of Love by Kate Bush will be out. Probably others. We're trying to lean a bit more into the classic rock stuff. I know Hunky Dory by David Bowie is coming.
Yeah.
Ram by Paul and Linda McCartney at some point. Close to the Edge by Yes. So yeah, plenty of stuff. The kind of idea is that it's a different guest each time. And then once we sort of come to the end of this sort of season or batch of episodes, it'll go back to the same rotation of guests with different albums. So, yeah, it's been fun to do so far. Hopefully people enjoy it.
Nice, man. Well, we thank you here for showing up, man, and we'll be sure to be checking out all of what the first season has to offer, y'all. And of course, if you like the video, give that big thumbs up, hit that big red subscribe button here on RTTC. We upload videos every single day, live streams, top tens, album reviews, reactions, song reactions, whatever the case may be. There's something here for you, and you can check out our Discord, all our social media down in the comments below. But I guess that'll wrap it up from us today. So for Tom, I am Trey, and thanks for watching, everybody. Happy listening, and I will see you next time.